Start recording. So, Jonathan, you've got a great bio, so I want to read it. Jonathan Bailor is the founder of Wellness Engineering and the world's fastest growing metabolic healing and diabetes treatment company called SANESolution. He authored the New York Times bestseller, The Calorie Myth and the Setpoint Diet, starred and produced the award-winning movie Better, has over 26 registered patents, has spoken for Fortune 100 companies and TED conferences for over a decade. His work has been endorsed and implemented by top doctors from Harvard Medical School, Johns Hopkins, the Mayo Clinic, the Cleveland Clinic, and UCLA. Jonathan lives outside Seattle with his wife and daughter. So welcome, Jonathan. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So I actually don't know your story, but I have some suspicions on what it may be, that you had a health crisis or wanted to lose weight. Can you tell us more how you got into this health world?
There's two very impactful events, and I know we are short on time, so I'll give you the short version. The first was when I was very young. There was a tragic incident with the death of my grandfather and leg amputation and just terribleness involving diabetes. And that really sparked a fire inside me. And I did a TED talk about that. So if folks want to learn more, you just type in my name in TED talk and you can see that story. And then beyond that, when I was growing up, the short version is I was obsessed with Superman and I really wanted to be big, like my big brother. I have a brother who's 10 years older than I am. And throughout my pre-adolescence and adolescence, I suffered deeply with shame about my body. And I did all sorts of crazy things, literally crazy things, to try to change my body. The wrinkle in my story was that I was ashamed at how small my body was, and I was trying to make it bigger, whereas a lot of people are ashamed or discouraged by how big their body is, and they're trying to make it smaller. And I'm using that language intentionally because I think it's accurate, and I also think it causes us to have a much different conversation when we talk about big bodies and small bodies. So long story short, I became a personal trainer. And I was sitting across the table about 3 years into being a personal trainer from one of my favorite clients who I was maybe 19 at the time. She was probably in her 40s. She was either a doctor or an attorney, like married, children, super accomplished, incredible person. And I'm this kid, doesn't really know what he's doing. I'm telling her to eat less and exercise more. She's crying, just sobbing, saying, Jonathan, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why can't I lose weight? And at that time, I was eating about 6,000 calories a day in an effort to make my body bigger. Well, I knew that this brilliant, beautiful person was eating 1,200 calories a day and couldn't make her body smaller. And in that moment, I knew that something wasn't adding up with the traditional calorie math approach that I was taught as a trainer. Both my parents are college professors. I'm an engineer by trade. So I then went on this big engineering research college journey for like 15 years, reviewing over 1,300 studies, and found that pretty much everything I was taught as a personal trainer in terms of how to make one's body bigger or smaller is wrong at best and damaging at worst. And we need a much different, saner approach.
You know, it's funny. We had Ari Whitten on last week, and he had a similar breakthrough with the adrenal conversation, like digging into the research. He's like, oh, wait, there's like no proof that this adrenal fatigue thing actually works. So it's just kind of interesting. And I'll ask you the same question I asked him, which is, as you went into research, did you start to see other threads that gave you ideas for what could be the right solution?
Oh, 100%. And what was interesting was none of those ideas came from the field of nutrition or exercise. Frankly, they came from neurobiology, study of gastroenterology, the study of your digestive system and your gut microbiome, and endocrinology, because what they really show is that your gut, brain, and hormones, they all work together to defend a certain level of fatness that they think is healthy for you. A lot of people call this the body weight set point, but frankly, there's a set point for everything. There's a set point for blood sugar, blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. And what we can use food and exercise for is to change the way our brain, gut, and hormones work, change that set point, rather than just saying, well, just eat less food and exercise more, and you can force your body to look different. You can't force your body to do anything. Like, try to hold your breath. You can do it, but eventually the body wins. Try not to go to the bathroom. You can do it, but eventually the body wins. Try not to eat. You can do it, but eventually the body wins. So how do we change that underlying drive within the body?
I love it. I love it. So yeah, how do we change that? How do we influence that? What are some of your key principles?
It can be as simple as 3 words: quality, not quantity. Because the message we've been told when it comes to eating and exercise is all focused around the word quantity, right? Eat less food, quantity. Do more exercise, quantity. Whereas what the research actually shows is if you want to heal your brain, gut, and hormones and lower your set point weight, you need to increase the quality of the food you eat, and you need to increase the quality of the exercise you do, which of course leads to the question, well, what determines the quality of food and what determines the quality of exercise? And that's where the backbone of my research and my company's work exists, is how do we develop an objective scale for what makes a food high quality or low quality? Same thing for physical movement.
Okay. So Al asked the question that I was going to ask you too. What about, quality of eating as far as timing? How do you think about intermittent fasting or timed eating?
What my research has shown, and my experience has also shown, is that the quality of what you eat is the most important thing.
Okay.
If you intermittent fast and eat garbage, you will be less healthy.
True.
Than if you intermittent fast and eat high quality food. And if you eat high quality food and don't intermittent fast, you will be healthier than if you eat low quality food and don't intermittent fast. So I think the focus on when you eat is more a function of practicality, meaning that here's a secret: the thing that's going to work is the thing that you can do. So if you hate fasting, it's not going to work for you. If you really like not eating breakfast, don't eat breakfast, because that'll work for you long term. Just make sure that when you eat, you're eating high quality foods that you enjoy on a schedule that you want to maintain.
Yeah, that's a good point. I just was on with a client earlier and asked her about intermittent fasting. I almost hate to use that word because it sounds a little radical. So my idea of it is more just like not eating all the time, which a lot of us do, not snacking, not, drinking wine after dinner. So I think there's different ways to look at that term of intermittent fasting. And like you said, like you don't have to, if it feels good for you to not have breakfast, great. And some of you listening may benefit from just not snacking so much, even if it's a healthy snacks, like you said, just for insulin resistant type things. But yeah, most important is eat healthy food. So there's even debate about what that is, Jonathan. So what in your definition is healthy food?
That's the whole point of my company. And we actually have a patent on this, which is if you ask 10 people, what's a healthy food, you're going to get 10 different answers, because there is no objective criteria by which you can determine if a food is healthy until now. Whereas my company is called SANESolution. The SANE is actually an acronym for the 4 factors that researchers have shown these are objective factors. Like, no, I don't care if you're a vegan versus keto, you will agree on what I'm about to say. So the S in SANE stands for satiety. Different foods fill you up and keep you fuller longer and faster than other foods. So 200 calories of Pringles, once you pop, you can't stop. They have low satiety. They make you hungrier, whereas 200 calories of a nutrient-dense protein and some vegetables, it's going to keep you full and satisfied. The A is aggression. Different foods have different impacts on your hormone levels. Again, that's not debatable. That's just an objective fact. The N in SANE is nutrition. Different foods have different nutrient densities. And the E is efficiency. Different macronutrients are more easily processed and stored as body fat than others. So we can look at these things, satiety, aggression, nutrition, and efficiency, and we can essentially rank foods. And now we have an objective measure of which foods are, sane or high quality, and which foods are insane or low quality. And spoiler alert, the sanest foods in the world in order are non-starchy vegetables, nutrient-dense protein, whole food fats, and low fructose fruits. The least sane foods in the world are processed fats, processed starches, and processed sugars.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. So it's sort of a paleo-ish diet in a sense, like taking out the processed foods.
Yeah, well, I get very scared when people
you don't like that word.
Paleo diet, because technically you could eat an incredibly insane paleo diet. If you ate a diet full of lard, tobacco, and potatoes, you would be eating a paleo diet because all of those foods were available to our Paleolithic ancestors, but it would kill you and it would be very insane. So what we talk about when we talk about eating sanely is what's important is that however you eat, you do it sanely. So you can make paleo sane, you can make keto sane, you can make vegan sane, you can make vegetarian sane, you can make kosher sane, you can make halal sane. So within however you eat, what SANE does is it's not its own diet. It's a set of tools that allows you to increase the quality of whatever diet you're on.
Okay, awesome. So with your company, do people mostly come to you with the objective of losing weight, or do they come to you for all sorts of things?
The vast majority of people who we work with are people who have yo-yo dieted 8 or more times and are suffering with either the disease of overweight and obesity, or the disease of diabetes, or the disease of diabesity, which means they have both simultaneously.
Okay. So that's, you kind of know your perfect client, so to speak. They've been through this and they're frustrated. And so tell us, maybe when people, I don't know, I join the program, like how do you even join? Like, how do you kind of start someone on this new SANESolution diet?
What we like to do is we like to get to know the individual personally. So
okay.
There's actually a phone number on our website you can call, and there are human beings that will answer the phone. And we call them transformation experts, because they're going to speak with you. They're going to understand your unique situation, because that's really important here. This whole conversation about nutrition and what's best and what's worse, in a lot of ways, it is ridiculous, because it's a lot like saying, what's the best outfit? Well,
Okay.
Are you going to the beach or are you going to a wedding? It ignores the context of what you're trying to do or who you are. So what I can tell you when it comes to clothing is that wearing your pants on your head is probably not a good idea in any context. And what I can tell you about eating is eating more vegetables is probably a good idea in any context. So what our program does is it doesn't try to say, look, this is the perfect way of eating for everyone, go do it now. We provide you with tools and principles and work with you to figure out a way to apply that enjoyably and practically within your life.
Okay, I like that. So, a lot of what we talk about on the show is detox. And I wanted to think about that in terms of what you're explaining with the SANE diet. You want nutritious foods. You want to influence hormones. I would assume you want organic foods, clean sourced foods, correct?
Those are different, definitely. So it's important to understand the SANE spectrum does not consider that.
Gotcha.
It's separate. It is certainly better to eat organic food than toxic processed nonsense. Very, very important.
Okay. And what have you found with your population that having toxic, kind of cleaning products and beauty products, dirty air in the home has been a hindrance of weight in any of your experiences?
What you'll see, especially in our, upcoming movie, Better, is that this message of high quality is not limited to food and physical movement. And that's been one of the biggest refinements we've made to the program over the past 4 years. And this applies to not only high quality air or high quality cleaning products, like you mentioned, but also things like high quality relationships, high quality self-talk, high quality sleep. Your health, in our experience, and the research supports, is a bit like the old saying, a chain is as strong as the weakest link. So you could eat perfectly, but if you don't sleep, that doesn't matter, right? So you have to look at sort of every aspect of your environment and of your world. And the more steps you can take to increase the quality of it, the higher the quality of your life will be.
I like that a lot. I know you were filming some clips for your movie when I last saw you, or I think you were, so I didn't get to talk to you, but can you tell us a little bit about the movie and when it's out and how people can get a hold of it?
The movie is called Better, and it will not be out until sometime in 2020 because we're in final negotiations with some major distribution partners. But what's really exciting about it is we filmed it on location at the Harvard Medical School. and it contains over 18 real life success stories. And it's a movie that we believe is really going to change the dialogue when it comes to having a high quality life, because it's not here to say, look, my diet can beat up your diet. It's here to say, we all know ways that we can live better. Like, there is a baseline that we all agree on. Can we just agree on that and do it and reverse the tragic obesity, diabetes, opioid, anxiety, depression, heart disease, and cancer epidemics that are taking place in our country? Like, let's stop focusing on who's right, and let's focus on being effective and saving lives rather than like getting into arguments on the internet.
So the 18 case studies, are they about all different types of conditions or weight or what?
There, as you likely know in your experience, the body is one interconnected whole. So some people say, oh, I have PCOS. And then someone else says, I have diabetes. Another person says, I have depression. I have anxiety. If you engage in high quality activities, if you have high quality relationships, high quality sleep, high quality air, high quality food, high quality movement, it's amazing how that one treatment seems to help with all those different conditions. So, you know, we all have numerous things about our lives which we would like to be better. There is, all of them will be better if you simply live better.
Yes, I get your point now.
But some of us, we've been given a message of complexity. And the reason we've been given that message is because that's how the pharmaceutical industry works. You have this condition, you take this pill. You have this condition, you take this pill. Look, better sleep will make everything better. Everything. That's not like, will better sleep make diabetes better, but cancer worse? No, better sleep makes everything better. Better relationships makes everything better.
Yeah. That's a great point. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, it's a tricky conversation because the way we tend to phrase things in our culture is, I have this, I have that, or I don't have this, I don't have that. And like in my company, you know, we offer lab testing, but not everyone's at a point where they can afford that. And are there a bunch of things you can do to detox? They're almost free, sometimes free. They kind of work for everybody. Yeah, they're going to make things better. You don't always have to even know exactly. Sometimes you do, but you don't always have to know exactly what you're dealing with to just up level, like you said, your habits. You know, you talk about kind of this baseline for exercise and movement, but then you've expanded it. And we talk a lot about kind of a baseline for daily detox that many people aren't thinking about. And maybe maybe some of that stuff is included in your movie or resources as well. But yeah, just chipping away, right? Just improving that quality of life. And you're going to look back a year from now and see yourself in a different place if you're persistent.
And it sounds almost too obvious to be useful, but it's really not. Because, for example, if you're like, now I'm going to try the keto diet. I'm not knocking the keto diet, but like that saying I'm going to do the keto diet is not saying I'm going to eat better. It's saying I'm going to do the keto diet. Those are very different things. Like if you assume the keto, or I'm going to be vegan, that's a different goal than I'm just going to do it better. And that's, we live in a culture, in a society where we have to just focus on the actual thing we want, not the sort of label of the trendy thing which supposedly will get us there. Because look, like we all know vegetables are good for everyone. Everyone forever has agreed that vegetables are good for us.
I have one expert who does not say that.
Yeah, well,
I won't just name names.
So barring that expert, the one thing we all know that would make us healthier is the one thing nobody talks about or focuses on in large part, right? It's not like there's this big movement on the internet to get people to eat more vegetables. It's about everything else. So like, just like, what can I do this week to have an additional servings of vegetables per day?
Yeah,
what can I do
simple.
next week to have an additional serving of vegetables versus jumping from this diet to this technique to this trick. You know, what can I do to What can I do next week to make the cleaning products I use slightly less toxic?
Step by step.
Those kinds of small changes over time.
Yeah, I like that. I'll tell you two stories. One, I used to run some detox groups when I had a clinic. And really the biggest win for me that I would see with people was they had to cook their own food. So they had to cook. And some of them had to learn to cook. They had to take their own food to lunch. So they weren't, eating out. They were bringing a salad. They were getting way more vegetables, way more water. And it was so simple. But really like what I saw more than they got more energy or they lost some weight was like they gained habits. And many of them, even when we weren't doing the group, would like come back and ask to do it again just because they needed to get back on the horse and get back in those habits. And then they knew those habits were right. That's the first story. Second story, you're going to like this one. So I had a client just today who's completely lovely and super confused about what to eat. So she was doing keto, but in her version of it, she would get just a chicken patty from McDonald's with a Diet Coke. So that was a little surprising. And then she just saw Forks Over Knives, I think it's called, a documentary about kind of plant-based eating. And it really inspired her. So, people are looking for answers and she's piecing things together. And I was like so happy to kind of weigh in on that conversation because it is confusing out there. If you only know how to eat on the run and now you're trying to eat keto, you might end up eating the McDonald's patty, which isn't really quality as I would imagine. I don't know the stats on that.
Yeah. And that's why I would just ask everybody, like, you're worth digging one layer deeper, which is like fundamentally, what is it about food that makes it high or low quality? Like that's what matters, not whether it's keto or vegan, right? Whether or not something's an animal or a plant, tobacco is a plant. That tells me nothing about what this substance is going to do to my body. So I would just encourage you, like, your health, your family's health is worth it. Nothing else matters if you don't have that. So just for all of these things, sleep, sex, detox, movement, look one level deeper. It's not like, oh, is it keto? Like, well, what is it about keto that is supposedly good? And is that true? What is it about, like, why is this person telling me to be a vegan? What is the mechanism by which veganism is supposed to make me healthier? And ask those next level questions, because that's where you'll find the truth. And sometimes you'll find there is, a celebrity paid them to say that. Oops. Sometimes that's what you'll find.
Yeah, it's kind of true, huh? Yeah, all these trends and fads come through, but questioning it. So if people, I know we have a free resource about smoothies. Is that a great place for people to start if they are, kind of interested in digging into more of your philosophy?
I've found what we call SANE smoothies to be a wonderful starting point because it helps to get a maximum dose of therapeutic, high quality nutrition into your body as easily as possible. And like, look, there's research about whether you should eat vegetables or drink vegetables or blah, 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 blah. My goal is to help save as many lives as possible. And the way you do that is practicality first. And a lot of us are on the go, and trying to physically eat 2 pounds of vegetables a day with a fork is not going to work for 99% of the population, but it would benefit 99% of the population. So if you can make a delicious, high vegetable, low sugar smoothie that easily fits in your day, is delicious and is convenient and portable, man, it's a great way to start going sane.
Yeah, I agree. And that's another thing I got out of running detox groups. Like the whole smoothie thing, if you've never made them, can be kind of really daunting, and your first few smoothies may be really horrible. So having some recipes is a great place to start, because there's so much nutrient density. They're easy to digest, they're quick, and that's, some really key principles of what people need nowadays.
And it's also a way, it's like a canvas on which you can get things into your diet that would be almost impossible otherwise. For example, things like spirulina or thin cell wall chlorella, or certain superfoods that, like, we know are super therapeutic and like help to super saturate your cells with nutrition. Like, What are you going to do? Eat them with a spoon? Like there's really no other ways to eat those, or even like chia seeds. Like, are you just going to like eat chia seeds with a spoon? Or like, maybe you can sprinkle them on your salad, but like you can put them in a smoothie for days and they work perfectly. So a smoothie is also just a great canvas to get foods into your body that are almost impossible to otherwise.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. So like, yeah, I love putting like raw nuts in there, or if you can do MCT oil or whatever. I wonder if we should, any stars you want to talk about from this resource that, you know, recipes or points you want to make?
I think the most important thing is if you listen to this or you're watching this and you hear the word smoothie, what we're not saying, and I correct me if you disagree, is go to Jamba Juice or go to your local grocery store and buy the stuff they're selling, because that stuff has more sugar in it than a couple cans of Coca-Cola. Like it's nonsense. It's like apple juice and a little bit of vegetables. So the key thing is making these yourself and following, you know, practical recipe guide like we provide to get max veggies with minimal sugar in a way that is delicious.
That's a great point. Yeah, when I would run these detox groups, my in-laws are doing it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're loving our smoothies," and it's like this much, you know, fruit in there, and like the protein powder. I'm like, yeah, I bet you are loving the smoothies, but yeah, it's just sort of a lack of awareness, because we do kind of sometimes think that smoothies are quite sweet. My audience doesn't necessarily think that, but we do have practitioners in our audience. So I think I'm also speaking to them that some of these resources could be, you know, great for your clients as well, if you want to pass it forward.
Yeah. And there is some, after like decades of doing this, there are some tricks or secrets. For example, there's different fruit that has a much different impact when blended. For example, if you have green leafy vegetables in your smoothie and you blend citrus fruits like a lemon or an orange or a grapefruit, like that acidity really helps to take care of the bitterness of those vegetables. Whereas if you put like blueberries in with spinach, it's not the same as if you use citrus fruits. And I've even found that like frozen strawberries, for the amount of sugar they provide, which is minimal, the impact on taste that they have is tremendous. And then there are things like, like raw undistilled apple cider vinegar is tremendously helpful for you. It's a great detoxification tool. And putting that in your smoothies, like again, the bitterness of the greens is masked by the acidity of the raw undistilled apple cider vinegar, which also helps with digestion and helps to avoid bloating and gas and things along those lines.
I have never, ever done that. I'm so excited to give that a try. So I just downloaded it, actually. It's 99 recipes, you guys, and 217 page guide or something like that. So, you know, I've been making smoothies a long time and I've never tried some of these things. So it's just great to get new ideas, again, making things better. Like, let's try something new in your routine. So even if you have made smoothies, get some new ideas from Jonathan. Well, thank you. So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I appreciate it. We got a lot of more. Like we have like a smoothie kit. We have like a whole smoothie course. Like if you're interested in smoothies, we got a lot about it. And I'm not like a smoothie company, but the point is just in terms of practical consumption of super nutrient dense plants, you will not find a more practical way to do it. And that's why we're fans of it.
Yeah. So I put that link in the chat, and then I'll just put your main site in the chat as well, which is SANESolution.com. Any last minute questions from anybody before we wrap up? Just check everywhere real quick on Facebook. Just got some agreements in the quality thing so far. Sorry, it's hard when I have so many things going on at the same time. Oh, Anna asked your favorite blender.
I personally love the reconditioned, most inexpensive Vitamix. I would never pay retail for a Vitamix, but you can get the certified refurbished ones for like $250 online. Nice. And it's a 7-year warranty. So, you know, they're fantastic. That's my personal preference.
Yeah. Oh, Debbie says she thinks you should get a Nobel Prize. Oh, for your work. That's so great. Yeah, I'll say even though it's not as powerful and not as fancy, I do like a NutriBullet too. You know, I like that it's small. Like we actually have both, but like Vitamix is like big and you have to, I don't know, it just seems like easier to clean than something small.
To be clear, the Vitamix is like no joke. When I use my Vitamix, I am not kidding. I put in earplugs and I put my Bose noise canceling headphones on with earplugs in my ear because the thing is so loud. But I mean, the newer ones they have that are like $1,200 are quiet, but like it's like having a lawnmower in your kitchen, but it's worth it. Just don't do it with small children around because it scares them.
Yeah, it's really strong. And I think it is a good tool to have. When I'm just making like something quick and small for myself, I feel like it's quicker to just Nutribullet it, but they won't last as long. I already burned one out. So, but they're like $100. So yeah. Thanks again, Jonathan. We'll definitely keep in touch and we'd love to share your film series. Is it a film or film series?
No, it's a actual straight up film with actors and actresses.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, I'll get you secret early access.
Please.
An email. So.
Okay. Well, thanks again for being on, everybody. Go to the links at SANESolution, and then I've got the special link for the smoothies in there as well. Thanks, everybody.